The arrival. The skies darkened over every major city on Earth simultaneously. It wasn't an eclipse or a storm front, but something far more ominous. Massive, disc-shaped objects hovered silently above the world's metropolises, their sleek, obsidian surfaces reflecting the panicked faces of millions below. In New York City, traffic ground to a halt as drivers abandoned their vehicles to gaze upward. The alien ship loomed over Manhattan, dwarfing even the tallest skyscrapers. Its presence was a silent declaration that humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and that our newfound company might not be friendly. Similar scenes unfolded across the globe. In Tokyo, businessmen in crisp suits stood shoulder to shoulder with schoolchildren in uniforms, all united in their awe and fear. The typically bustling streets of Cairo fell silent, save for the occasional wail of a child or the fervent prayers of the devout. In Rio de Janeiro, the usual carnival atmosphere gave way to a tense hush as the massive craft cast its shadow over the Christ the Redeemer statue. World leaders scrambled to make sense of the situation. Emergency meetings were called, military forces were mobilized, and news networks broadcast around the clock. Social media exploded with theories, ranging from the plausible to the absurd. Some claimed it was an elaborate hoax, while others insisted it was the end times prophesied in ancient texts. As the initial shock wore off, humanity's curiosity began to assert itself. Scientists and linguists worked tirelessly to establish communication with the visitors. Radio signals were broadcast in every known language, mathematical sequences were beamed into space, and even simple pictograms were projected onto the sides of buildings. For days, there was no response. The ships remained motionless and silent, their purpose unknown. The lack of action was almost worse than an outright attack. The tension grew with each passing hour, fraying nerves and testing the limits of human patience. On the fifth day, everything changed. A deafening hum resonated from the ships, causing windows to rattle and eardrums to ache. Then, as suddenly as it began, the sound ceased. In its wake, every electronic device on the planet, from smartphones to supercomputers, displayed the same message. Humans of Earth, hear our decree. We are the Zarkhan, and we claim this world as our own. Your resources are ours. Your people are ours. Resistance is futile and will be met with swift annihilation. You have 24 hours to surrender control of your governments and military forces to our appointed representatives. Failure to comply will result in the destruction of your largest city. The countdown begins now. The ultimatum sent shockwaves through every level of society. Governments went into crisis mode, religious leaders called for prayer and unity, and ordinary citizens faced the grim reality that their world would never be the same. In Washington, D.C., President Elena Martinez sat at the head of an emergency meeting of her national security team. The room was tense, filled with the nation's top military brass, intelligence officials, and scientific advisors. "What are our options?" Martinez asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the situation. General Thompson, a grizzled veteran with 4 decades of service, spoke first. "Madam President, our conventional weapons appear to be useless against their technology. We've conducted covert tests, and nothing we have can penetrate their shields." Dr. Amelia Chen, the country's leading xenobiologist, interjected. "We still know next to nothing about their biology or motivations. Attempting communication might be our best option." "We've been trying that for days," countered the Secretary of State. "They've made their intentions clear. This is an invasion, plain and simple." As the debate raged on, similar discussions were taking place in capitals around the world. The United Nations convened an emergency session, but with the fate of New York City hanging in the balance, there was precious little time for diplomatic niceties. In the streets, reactions varied wildly. Some people stockpiled supplies and retreated to bunkers, while others took to the streets in protest or prayer. A few radical groups even welcomed the aliens, seeing them as saviors or gods. As the deadline approached, a plan began to take shape. It was risky, possibly even suicidal, but it was the only option that offered a glimmer of hope. President Martinez addressed the nation, her face grim but determined. "My fellow Americans and citizens of the world, we face a threat unlike any in human history. These invaders seek to strip us of our freedom, our dignity, and our very humanity. They believe we will simply roll over and accept their rule. They are wrong." She paused, her eyes fierce with resolve. "We will not surrender. We will not give up our planet without a fight. But neither will we act rashly and risk millions of lives. We have a plan that requires the cooperation of every nation on Earth. It won't be easy, and it will require sacrifices from all of us. But I believe in humanity's strength, our ingenuity, and our unbreakable spirit." As Martinez spoke, other world leaders echoed her message in their own countries. For the first time in history, the entire human race was united against a common enemy. The plan was audacious. Instead of a formal surrender or a futile military strike, Earth would present a facade of compliance while secretly preparing for resistance. Key military and scientific personnel would go into hiding, along with a selection of civilians chosen for their skills and knowledge. The rest of humanity would pretend to accept alien rule, all while gathering intelligence and searching for weaknesses. It was a desperate gambit, but it was all they had. As the deadline approached, the world held its breath. In New York City, millions watched the sky with a mixture of fear and defiance. Would the aliens make good on their threat? Or would humanity's ruse buy them the time they needed? With 1 hour to go, a message was transmitted to the alien ship hovering over the UN headquarters. It was a carefully crafted statement, designed to appear conciliatory while revealing as little as possible. To the Zarkan leadership, "We, the United Governments of Earth, acknowledge your superior technology and presence on our world. We are prepared to discuss the terms of your stewardship of our planet. We ask for a meeting with your representatives to facilitate a peaceful transition." The response came almost immediately, broadcast once again to every screen on the planet. "Your submission is noted. Prepare to receive our emissaries. Any act of aggression will result in immediate reprisal." A collective sigh of relief swept across the globe. New York had been spared, at least for now, but the real test was just beginning. As the first alien shuttles descended from the motherships, humanity steeled itself for the challenge ahead. They would play the part of a defeated species, all while secretly preparing for the greatest fight in human history. The war for Earth had begun, not with a bang, but with a lie. And in the hearts of every human burned a single unifying thought: "This is our home, and we will take it back." The weeks following the Zarkan's arrival unfolded like a surreal nightmare. Alien emissaries, towering beings with iridescent skin and multiple limbs, took up residence in the world's capitals. They spoke through advanced translation devices, their voices a discordant mix of mechanical precision and organic fluidity. On the surface, life seemed to continue with an uneasy normalcy. People went to work, children attended school, and the routines of daily life persisted. But beneath this veneer of compliance, a current of resistance flowed, gaining strength with each passing day. In abandoned subway tunnels beneath New York City, Dr. Samantha Chen, a brilliant physicist, huddled with a team of international scientists. Their makeshift lab, cobbled together from salvaged equipment, hummed with activity. "The Zarkan energy shields operate on principles we've only theorized about," Chen explained, gesturing to a holographic display. "But every shield has a weakness. We just need to find it." Across the Atlantic, in the catacombs beneath Paris, General Antoine Dubois coordinated with resistance cells worldwide. The French officer's face was gaunt from lack of sleep, but his eyes burned with determination. "Our operatives in Berlin have successfully infiltrated a Zarkan communication hub," he reported to the assembled leaders via a secure, quantum-encrypted channel. "We're gathering invaluable intel on their operations and weaknesses." The resistance movement grew, transcending old national boundaries and ideological divides. Former enemies became allies, united by the common goal of liberating Earth. Russian hackers worked alongside American cybersecurity experts to probe Zarkhan networks. Iranian physicists collaborated with Israeli engineers to develop countermeasures against alien weaponry. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes with intimate knowledge of the land guided guerrilla fighters through dense jungle, evading Zarkhan patrols with ease. Their ancient wisdom, combined with modern tactical knowledge, proved a formidable combination. The aliens, for all their technological superiority, found themselves increasingly frustrated by human ingenuity and adaptability. Their initial confidence gave way to confusion, then anger. In response to a series of sabotage attacks on their mining operations, the Zarkhan launched a brutal crackdown. Entire city blocks were vaporized as a warning, their inhabitants given no chance to evacuate. The message was clear: cooperation or annihilation. Yet even in the face of such atrocities, humanity's spirit remained unbroken. If anything, the Zarkhan's brutality only strengthened the resolve of the resistance. In the Highlands of Scotland, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Aileen MacLeod, a veterinary scientist turned resistance fighter, made a startling discovery while treating injured wildlife. The Zarkhan aren't just similar to cephalopods in appearance, she explained to her astonished colleagues. Their biology shares key characteristics with Earth's octopi and squid, including, she paused for emphasis, a potentially fatal sensitivity to certain compounds found in marine algae. The news spread like wildfire through resistance channels. Finally, they had a potential weapon against their seemingly invulnerable foe. But developing this discovery into a viable strategy would require resources and coordination on a global scale, and time was running out. Reports from resistance spies indicated that the Zarkhan were accelerating their plans. The aliens had begun construction of massive structures in Earth's oceans, the purpose of which remained unknown, but undoubtedly ominous. In orbit, more Zarkhan ships arrived daily, their numbers now blotting out the stars in the night sky. Whatever the invaders' ultimate goal was, it was clear they intended to strip Earth bare to achieve it. The resistance knew they needed a decisive strike, and soon, but how to coordinate a global uprising against an enemy with vastly superior technology and near-omniscient surveillance capabilities? The answer came from an unlikely source, the world's underground hacker community. A decentralized network of cyber rebels, operating under the collective name Ghost in the Machine, had been waging a silent war against Zarkhan systems since the invasion began. Their leader, known only by the handle Prometheus, reached out to resistance leadership with a daring plan. "We've discovered a vulnerability in the Zarkhan's quantum communication network," Prometheus explained, their digitally distorted voice crackling through secure channels. "With a coordinated strike, we can temporarily blind their entire command structure. It won't last long, but it might give us the window we need." The plan was risky. If it failed, the Zarkhan would undoubtedly retaliate with unimaginable fury. But the alternative, slow extinction under alien rule, was unthinkable. Leaders of the resistance debated for days, weighing the potential costs against the desperate need for action. In the end, the decision was unanimous. They would strike. The date was set. Operation Lazarus, as it was codenamed, would be humanity's last, best hope for freedom. As the day approached, resistance cells worldwide began their final preparations. In hidden bunkers and secret labs, weapons were assembled, and strategies were finalized. The alga-based compound, now weaponized into a potent aerosol, was distributed to key operatives around the globe. But even as hope began to rise, the resistance faced a new challenge. Rumors of the impending attack had leaked, and panic threatened to derail their carefully laid plans. In Rio de Janeiro, a group of religious zealots, believing the Zarkhan to be divine punishers, attacked a resistance safehouse. The resulting firefight drew alien attention, nearly exposing the entire South American operation. In Mumbai, overeager resistance members launched a premature attack on a Zarkan outpost, sacrificing the element of surprise in that sector. The leadership knew that if they didn't act soon, the entire operation could unravel. The order was given. Operation Lazarus would begin in 24 hours. As the countdown began, a tense quiet fell over the resistance. Years of planning, sacrifices, and hidden struggles had led to this moment. In safe houses and bunkers around the world, humans from all walks of life steeled themselves for the fight ahead. Families said goodbye, not knowing if they'd ever see each other again. Soldiers checked their weapons one last time. Scientists made final adjustments to their experimental devices. In New York, Dr. Chen looked out over the changed skyline of her city, now dominated by alien architecture. Whatever happens, she whispered to herself, we'll face it together. In the Amazon, indigenous warriors painted their faces with traditional designs, praying to their ancestors for strength and guidance. And in a hidden server farm deep beneath the streets of Tokyo, Prometheus and their team of hackers prepared to launch the most ambitious cyber attack in human history. As the final hours ticked away, a message spread through the resistance networks. Its origin was unknown, but its words resonated with every human who heard them. Tomorrow, we take back our home. Tomorrow, we show the universe that humanity will not go quietly into the night. Tomorrow, we rise. The stage was set. Humanity's last stand was about to begin, and as the sun set on the eve of battle, the earth itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the dawn that would decide the fate of all its children. The turning point. The day of reckoning dawned with an eerie calm. Across the globe, resistance fighters emerged from hiding, their faces a mix of determination and fear. In cities, forests, and deserts, humans prepared to reclaim their world. At precisely 700 GMT, Operation Lazarus began. In Tokyo, Prometheus and their team of elite hackers launched their assault on the Zarkan communication network. Their fingers flew across keyboards, unleashing a virus of unprecedented complexity. For a few crucial minutes, the alien command structure was thrown into chaos. Seizing the moment, resistance cells worldwide sprang into action. In New York, Dr. Chen and her team activated a network of EMP devices, temporarily disabling Zarkan technology across the eastern seaboard. The alien ships, once imposing sentinels in the sky, now hung helpless and dark. In the Amazon, indigenous warriors led by Maria Silveira, a former Brazilian Special Forces operator, launched surprise attacks on Zarkan mining operations. Their intimate knowledge of the terrain proved invaluable as they outmaneuvered the confused alien patrols. Across Europe, sleeper cells activated in major cities. In Paris, resistance fighters emerged from the catacombs, armed with makeshift weapons and an unbreakable spirit. They overwhelmed Zarkan outposts before the aliens could mount an effective defense. But it was in the oceans that the tide truly turned. Dr. Mechlud's Alder-based compound, now weaponized and mass-produced, was deployed by a fleet of stealth submarines. As the aerosol spread through the alien structures rising from the sea, the effect was immediate and devastating. Zarkan soldiers began to convulse, their iridescent skin turning a sickly gray. The massive tentacled creatures that had once inspired terror now writhed in agony, their superior biology turned against them by Earth's own microscopic defenders. For the first time since their arrival, the Zarkan found themselves vulnerable, and humanity, long suppressed, rose with a vengeance. In orbit, a daring mission unfolded. A team of astronauts, led by Commander Yuki Tanaka, had been secretly preparing for this moment aboard the International Space Station. Using technology reverse-engineered from captured Zarkan devices, they launched a series of satellites designed to disrupt the aliens' interstellar communications. As reports of victories poured in from around the world, the resistance leadership gathered in their hidden command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. General Dubois, his face etched with both hope and concern, addressed the assembled commanders. "We've bloodied their nose, but the fight is far from over," he cautioned. The Zarkans still outnumber and outgun us. We must press our advantage while we have it. Dr. Chen, her lab coat stained and singed from recent battles, stepped forward. Our analysis of captured Zarkan technology has revealed something crucial, she said, her voice urgent. Their ships are powered by a form of dark matter. If we can disrupt it, we might be able to drive them off our planet for good. A ripple of excitement passed through the room. It was a slim chance, but it was more than they had dared hope for just days ago. As the Resistance formulated their final strategy, the Zarkan were regrouping. Their initial shock at the human uprising quickly gave way to rage. Freed from the constraints of maintaining a facade of benevolent occupation, the aliens now showed their true, terrifying nature. Cities that had successfully revolted were subjected to orbital bombardment. The skies over London, Cairo, and Sydney burned as Zarkan warships unleashed their full fury. Millions perished in the first wave of retaliation. But even in the face of such overwhelming force, humanity refused to submit. For every city destroyed, 2 more rose in rebellion. The Zarkan found themselves fighting a war on countless fronts against an enemy that seemed to draw strength from adversity. In a hidden laboratory in Antarctica, Dr. Chen and an international team of scientists worked feverishly to develop a weapon capable of disrupting the Zarkan's dark matter power source. Time was running out, and the fate of the planet hung in the balance. As the battle raged across the globe, an unexpected ally emerged from the depths of the ocean. Marine biologists monitoring the conflict noticed a strange phenomenon. Earth's cetaceans, from mighty blue whales to intelligent dolphins, began to exhibit unusual behavior. Dr. Ava Patel, a cetacean communication expert working with the Resistance, made a startling discovery. They're communicating with each other in ways we've never seen before, she reported, her voice filled with awe. It's as if the whales and dolphins are coordinating their movements across entire ocean basins. At first, the Resistance leadership was skeptical of the relevance of this information. But as reports came in of Zarkan ships mysteriously losing power in the middle of the oceans, a new possibility emerged. Somehow, Earth's marine life was joining the fight. The final battle for Earth's freedom came to a head of the Pacific Ocean. The remaining Zarkan forces had consolidated around their main mothership, a behemoth that dwarfed even the largest human vessels. Dr. Chen's team had succeeded in developing a dark matter disruptor, but its range was limited. To be effective, it would need to be deployed from within the Zarkan mothership itself. A suicide mission was proposed. A small team would use captured alien shuttles to infiltrate the mothership, plant the disruptor, and detonate it manually. The volunteers knew it was almost certainly a one-way trip. As the Resistance prepared for this final, desperate gambit, the oceans themselves seemed to come alive. Vast pods of whales surrounded the Zarkan fleet, their haunting songs disrupting alien sensors. Schools of dolphins darted between the massive ships, drawing fire and creating chaos. In this moment of distraction, the human strike team made their move. Led by a grizzled veteran named John Carter, they slipped past the Zarkan defenses and into the heart of the mothership. What they found inside defied their worst nightmares. The ship was a vast, organic construct, more like a living entity than a vessel. As they fought their way towards the central power core, they realized the horrible truth. The Zarkan weren't just invading Earth, they were planning to consume it, to incorporate the entire planet into their biomechanical collective. With time running out and Zarkan defenders closing in, Carter and his team reached the pulsating heart of the ship. As they planted the disruptor, Carter made a fateful decision. Instead of setting a timer, he would trigger it manually, ensuring its detonation, but sacrificing himself in the process. "It's been an honor," he said to his team, his voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "Now go, make sure our sacrifice means something." As the surviving team members fled in their stolen shuttle, Carter faced the approaching Zarkan. With a grim smile, he activated the disruptor. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The mothership's dark matter core imploded, creating a cascading reaction that spread to every Zarkan vessel in Earth's orbit. One by one, the alien ships winked out of existence, leaving behind only a shower of harmless particles. On the surface, humans emerged from shelters and hideouts to see a sky empty of alien vessels for the first time in months. A stunned silence fell across the planet, followed by an eruption of joy and disbelief. The Zarkan invasion was over. Earth had won. In the days that followed, humanity began the long process of rebuilding. The cost had been staggering, entire cities lay in ruins, and millions had perished. But the human spirit, tempered by adversity, emerged stronger than ever. The newfound unity that had won the war persisted in peace. Old rivalries and conflicts seemed petty in the face of what they had endured together. A new era of global cooperation dawned, focused on rebuilding Earth and preparing for whatever challenges the cosmos might bring next. As for the mysterious role played by Earth's marine life, it remained a subject of intense study and speculation. Some theorized that the cetaceans had always possessed hidden abilities, awakened by the planetary crisis. Others wondered if they had been in contact with other intelligences in the vast oceans of space. Whatever the truth, humanity's relationship with its own planet and its fellow Earth species was forever changed. As the years passed and Earth rebuilt, a new wisdom emerged, a deep appreciation for the interconnectedness of all life, and a commitment to protecting the fragile beauty of their home world. The stars, once a source of terror, again became a beacon of hope and exploration. But this time, as humanity looked to the cosmos, it did so not with fear or arrogance, but with humility and a newfound respect for the delicate balance of life in the universe. The Zarkan had made a fatal mistake in underestimating Earth. In the end, it wasn't just human strength or ingenuity that defeated them. It was the collective will of an entire living planet, united in defense of its home. As the sun set on this new era, the people of Earth looked to the future with hope, determination, and a profound appreciation for the place they called home. The invasion had changed them, but it had not broken them. Instead, it had revealed the true strength of humanity, not as conquerors, but as guardians of a precious blue world spinning in the vast cosmic ocean.